Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. And if you can't tell by my green attire, we are wearing an iconic piece of Diablo history known as Hawkmail. Hawkmail is an amazing low-level armor which only has a level requirement of level 15. It is absolutely great for a lot of characters because of the one mechanic on it that we'll talk about in the future. So right off the bat, you will notice that the Hawkmail obviously makes your character very green. It is kind of an interesting effect, and when you're wearing the Hawkmail, you have kind of a cool aesthetic going on. It also has 122 defense, which is relatively high for level 15. It's actually quite nice, with a relatively low strength requirement of only 44, which is not bad. The level requirement is only level 15, as we were talking about earlier, and it's as far as level requirement and strength requirement goes, it's very, very, very nice. We also have a 10% faster run walk on here, which is static, and it's always nice to run around faster, especially in the early levels when you don't really have access to a lot of faster run walk equipment. We also have a 100% enhanced defense on this, which does vary by 20%, so it's 80 to 100%. And it's not going to matter too much for this lower level version, but if you do plan on upgrading it, maybe look for the 100% enhanced defense version, especially since it is the only variable on this item. We also have a 15% maximum cold resistance buff, and what this means is that if our resistances are high enough, we will be at the point where we will have a higher cold resistance than normal. And you know what, just for laughs' sake, let's go to normal difficulty, and I'll show you what that looks like. So when you have a bonus to your maximum resistance, what that means is that it doesn't actually give you that resistance. What it does is it increases your cap so that your cap can go higher. And to show you this, I'm going to have to move out of the way. So as you can see here on the left-hand side, my cold resistance is 90%. And if I take off the Hawkmail, it goes down to 75. So it allows my cap to be higher than it would normally. Now you still have to get the resistances to actually make that work, but it does actually give you the 15% on this particular piece of armor, because as you notice, not only does it give you plus 15 to maximum cold resist, it also gives you another 15% cold resist on top of that to help you cap off the number, which is pretty sweet. And then on top of all of the things that it gives you, it also gives you Cannot Be Frozen. Now, Cannot Be Frozen is one of the most crucial effects for pretty much any character in the game. I would not recommend building a character without Cannot Be Frozen, and Cannot Be Frozen is something that is a little difficult to obtain early on in the game. And as a melee character, it is so drastic to have Cannot Be Frozen versus not, that I would definitely recommend considering this particular piece of armor if you don't have any other form of Cannot Be Frozen. You can also put this on a mercenary to give him Cannot Be Frozen. Now, there are certain things that go through Cannot Be Frozen because they're not technically frost effects. Holy Freeze, Decrepify, the Clay Golems slow, and slows target by, which is on like weapons and armor. That kind of stuff is not affected by Cannot Be Frozen. Cannot Be Frozen is more specifically about chill effects and freezing effects, and those effects specifically will no longer affect you. And when you get to Hell difficulty, Cannot Be Frozen is such an amazing ability that it is a huge detriment not to have Cannot Be Frozen when you get to Hell. Now, in normal difficulty, it's not that big of a deal, but it's definitely nice to have it rather than not. And if you're a melee character, you need it. You definitely need it. So Hawkmail becomes one of those interesting pieces of equipment that if you find it early on, especially in maybe like a ladder or a solo self-found play, it can have a huge difference on how quickly you are able to kill things, how well you are able to do, just in general, and quite honestly, you can replace the Cannot Be Frozen effect later with something more important and take off this armor. But let's take a look and see what this armor could do if we potentially upgraded it. And to do this, we're going to need shales and towels for the first upgrade, and we're going to need lems and coes for the second upgrade. And we're going to need perfect diamonds for all of them. So let's take a look at the Hawkmail first, which is the Non-Ethereal version. It has 122 defense, 44 strength, level 15, and that goes to 364 defense, 86 strength, level 30. An absolutely nice upgrade, in my opinion, especially if you're still using this toward the end of normal difficulty for Cannot Be Frozen. You will notice that the defense bump went up quite nicely from 122 to 364, and the strength requirement didn't go up so much that it was untenable. So definitely a solid upgrade for one tier. The Ethereal version also can get very good use on mercenaries, and this one is going to go from 184 defense, 34 strength, level 15, to 528 defense, 76 strength, level 30. So not a bad upgrade for Tier 1 to Tier 2. It definitely bumps up the defense enough to be worthwhile, and it definitely leaves the strength low enough so that it can actually still be viable. Now, to upgrade this to the third tier, we are going to need a Lem, a Co, and a Perfect Diamond. I probably would not recommend upgrading this to the third tier, but let's see how it turns out. So we're going to go from a Tigulated Male of 364 defense, 86 strength, and level 30, to a Loricated Male of 922 defense, 149 strength, and level 67. Definitely a bit high for a Hawkmail. 149 is not so far out of the realm of possibility, especially considering Monarch shields are 156. So it could be doable, but I just feel like there's going to be better options by the time you hit level 67. The Ethereal version, of course, can upgrade as well from the Tigulated Male 528, 76 strength, level 30, to the Loricated Male 1,346 defense, 139 strength, level 67. Now, I do feel like that upgrade was a little bit more worthwhile, but unfortunately the Lem and the Co really kind of make it too costly, in my opinion. Although, if you just had like a million Lem and Co's laying around, it could be an interesting choice for a mercenary, probably socketed with a 15% IAS jewel, something along those lines. I just don't really specifically see in my mind that being a good choice for the third tier. Definitely a solid good choice for the for two tiers, so one tier up to the what was it, the Tigulated Male, but the Loricated Male just a little bit too costly. Although it didn't upgrade poorly, I will say that. Now, the Hawkmail can work its way into just about any build, in my opinion. It is a purely defensive armor. It doesn't really have any offensive stats, so it's really about utilizing it for your benefit defensively. Are you a character who needs Cannot Be Frozen? Are you a melee character, a Zeal Paladin, a Fend Amazon, a Whirlwind Barbarian? I mean, I'm not actually, Whirlwind Barbarians like to get frozen, don't they? There are a lot of different characters who can benefit from Cannot Be Frozen, and that's really the only thing this armor kind of has to offer. The cold resist is kind of just like icing on the cake. The faster run walk is just kind of icing on the cake. And there are plenty of other armors that have higher defense than the Hawkmail. So what it really comes down to is, do you need Cannot Be Frozen? And if you need Cannot Be Frozen at this level, then Hawkmail might be your choice. There are some other options, however, at this level. You could be utilizing Death's Gloves and Death's Sash for a nice two-piece combo for Cannot Be Frozen. I do believe that they added Cannot Be Frozen to Hasaurus, which is a three-piece combo of belt, boots, and shield. I think they added Cannot Be Frozen to Arctic set as well, although I do believe you have to wear the entire set to get the effect. They have been adding Cannot Be Frozen to some of the lower level sets, and there's not a lot of lower level items that have Cannot Be Frozen, but some of the sets, when used in tandem, will give you that effect. And recently, they have added the ability to upgrade sets. As you can see, I have an Immortal King, the Kingsville Avenger Guard here. Sacred Arbor. Where's the... I must have refreshed this character. I refreshed the character so it's not upgraded anymore. Sadness. Boo. Boo earns. Boo earns. Anyway, let's take a look on Silo's Pen, and let's see where we could potentially find a Hawkmail. What might be our best location. And in the auspices of, you know, this is a ladder character, we're trying to get maybe like Cannot Be Frozen early on. We just really want to grab Cannot Be Frozen as quickly as possible. Let's assume we have 50% Magic Find. We're a level 15 character. We're trying to find a Hawkmail to help ourselves continue forward in the game. So normal Mephisto is a 1 in 233 chance, but it's a little bit out of your range for a level 15 character. Not a lot of good the bosses here are going to do you. I mean, Duriel in normal difficulty, but you're not going to be able to kill him at level 15 either. So let's take a look at super uniques. And we've got Dark Elder in Lost City. Might be a good choice with a 1 in 1,583 chance. He is always located in Lost City, and he's most of the time next to the Ancient Tunnels entrance. Let's see what else we've got here that could potentially be utilized by a lower level character. A whole lot of nothing. Yeah. Cesark the Burning in Spider Cave could be an interesting choice, but you'd have to kill Duriel, obviously, and make it to Act 3. Not a lot of Act 2 monsters. Let's take a look at all real quick. Let's go to bosses first. So the highest non-quest kill is going to look like Mephisto. So Mephisto in normal difficulty and then Diablo in normal difficulty. Those are your best chances for this particular item. And I forgot to move my camera out of the way. Those are your best chances for this particular item is Mephisto in normal and Diablo in normal. Definitely very high chances there. And of course you can also kill Baal in normal difficulty. A lot of monsters that are just a little bit too high level to get your hands on a Hawkmail. And as far as super uniques go, it does look like the normal summoner has a pretty good chance. I didn't notice him before. I mean, he's not exactly easy to farm, but there's still a very good chance that he could drop it for you, as well as Fangskin in Claw Viper Temple level 2, another relatively difficult monster to get to. I'm seeing a lot of monsters in Act 2. So the Summoner in Act 2, Ancient Ka the Soulless in Act 2, Fangskin in Act 2, Fire Eye in Act 2, Dark Elder in Act 2. All those are relatively easy monsters to fight and kill in Act 2 difficulty, Act 2 normal difficulty, and could potentially give you the Hawkmail, which would let you utilize it from Act 2 on, and actually be able to use it to your advantage. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when it is about the greenest of armors known as Hawkmail, and as always, keep watching.